Thank you for joining us for another Movie Lingo discussion. I'm Eddie Lingo.
I'm Nate.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Melissa Jansen.
And today we're going to discuss the Minions movie. Nate, could you please tell us what the Minions is about?
Of course. Minions is sort of a prequel to the Despicable Me movies that isn't necessarily about Gru, who was the main character of those, but more so about his henchmen, the Minions, who look like little Twinkie Tic Tac kind of characters. And this goes into their origin story, sort of, and what drives them to exist.
Right.
In the beginning, it gives a short preface to the fact that their whole meaning of existence is to serve the biggest, baddest villain. And it shows them as protozoa, following these little cell creatures around eating each other, and then they follow the bigger fish, and then lizards, eventually dinosaurs, a caveman. It goes on and on and on. And then they get to a point where there's no more villains to find. They're lost in this ice age wasteland, and they hold up in a cave for years and years and years. And then it does a time jump, and we see them, and they're all depressed in their society because there's no one to serve or make happy other than themselves, and that's not how they roll. So Kevin, Stuart, and Bob set out on a journey to find the biggest, baddest villain they can. And then they get into all sorts of little mishaps and shenanigans, as Alyssa so graciously put it. And it goes from there.
Awesome, yeah. So I'd like to dive right in with you guys and ask you, starting with you, Alyssa.
Okay.
What did you think of the Minions movie?
I really enjoyed it. It was more of a kid-oriented movie than anything else, but I'm still a huge kid at heart, so I still loved it. Some of the jokes were kind of like, oh yeah, that's funny, if I'm 5 years old, but I laughed, and I thought it was cute, and that was basically it. It was just a cute movie to watch.
Cute movie to watch, definitely the words I would use.
Yeah.
How about you, Nicole?
I agree. It was a cute movie to watch, but at the same time, I'm, like she said, a kid at heart, and I found the jokes in there to be a little bit more immature, and to me, not growing up all the way yet, that appealed to my sense of humor, but I can see how it wouldn't appeal to others. But
so you definitely liked it.
I thought it was so funny.
How about you, Nate? How do you feel about it?
I'm very 50-50 on this movie. There are parts that I definitely did like, and parts that are alright, that was weak. You can tell that they're trying to at points they're trying to have humor that appealed to all audiences, but it wasn't often enough or consistent enough for me to say this movie appeals to everyone. It definitely is more of a go watch this. If you're immature, you'll like it. If not, then you'll be like, all right.
It's kind of an insult. If you're immature, you'll
There's
like
nothing wrong with being immature.
I mean, if you're young, it's not. But as an adult, it's kind of an insult. But
you can look at it that way, I suppose.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it in such a way.
No, I know you did. I was just messing with you. But for me, actually, I did not like the movie. I thought it was cute, like you said.
Definitely.
But it wasn't enough that was funny to me, I was looking forward to. I was just looking forward to really being tickled by something, and I felt also that a lot of their funnier moments were already given to us in the trailer. So I giggled a little bit when they did come, but I was hoping that there would be more, and it was. I don't know, it was cute. There was nothing really wrong with the movie. I wasn't looking for an epic story. I wasn't looking for, serious character development. It's the Minions. We know they're just looking to serve. But I just thought I would laugh a lot more. So for me, I didn't really like it as much. But let's talk about that, as far as the Minions and them serving the evil. I felt like it's something that they're just destined to fail because you don't want to send the message to kids that evil is actually good and evil will succeed.
They thwart it in trying to serve it.
Right, and so I thought it was going to be a lot more funny opportunities for that, but you thought it was right down your alley. It was funny. Tell me some of the funnier moments to you, and what did you love about them? Because for me, it was just a lot of cute jokes, but that weren't funny, and a lot of failed attempts because they don't want to show kids it's okay to be evil. But what did you think were the funnier moments?
There were a lot of moments in the movie that I didn't see or expect to see in a Minion movie. Like towards the end, when I think it was Stuart who started playing that guitar solo that came out of nowhere, I was like, what is going on? Like, I didn't expect it. So it was more like I didn't expect to see this in this movie, that I'm laughing so hard because I didn't know Minions would take on stuff like that. I thought it would just be gibberish throughout the whole movie and little jokes. It was, but those moments to me were what got my attention and made me laugh a little harder.
What was they were mixing up like 2 or 3 different languages. Right?
They had like Spanish in there. They had a little French in there. I definitely heard the Spanish. When I heard that, I was like,
when they said C, and I was like, hey. I was like, I know what he's saying now, but everything else to me was all over.
Tortilla in there quite a few times.
So let me ask you, Alyssa, what were some of the moments that you really liked out of the movie?
I agree with you. Most of the funny scenes that I thought were entertaining were in the trailers, but I still laughed at them. But one part that I thought was funny that I didn't think that like little kids would catch was when Kevin grew. When Kevin grew and he got really big, and then he was trying to go through the streets in England, but I don't think kids would know that like the streets are really narrow and skinny. So he kept getting stuck. And
that was funny.
I was laughing. I was like, that's so funny. But I didn't think little kids would get that. So that was one of the funnier parts that I found.
So you watched it with?
I thought with my mom.
With the public, a lot of kids in there.
Oh yeah. Not many kids laughed. I mean, I feel like they laughed because they thought they were supposed to laugh, but they laughed at like when they made like fart jokes, or like the banana scene they laughed at, or like when Dracula died.
That was actually funny.
That was funny.
that was funny to me.
But yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you, Nate. Since you were 50-50, what were some of the funnier moments in the movie for you?
I think one of my favorite parts of the movie was the scene where they're at the villain con, and there's that one scientist who I think Stuart approached him, and he's like, oh, minions? And then the guy's like, oh no, I don't need minions. I've just been traveling forward in time and bringing myself back. And he had a bunch of clones of himself from the future. And then like one of them's pushing this heavy thing on a lift, and he accidentally knocks one of the other clones in the back of the head and kills him. And everyone's like, all of his clones are like, oh no, that's the original, and they start disappearing left and right. It was really funny. I thought that was very clever.
I think that was a moment where I actually laughed out loud. The loudest. I really thought it was funny too, especially when they got down to the last one. He was just like, no, because it was inevitable. He was seeing them go, and he was like, no, and all of a sudden, gone.
That was very funny.
That was the funniest moment.
You spoiled that for me. I was so mad.
Well, you saw it coming?
Yeah, he told me about it, and then when I went to go see it, I
him.
was like, now I can't laugh as much as I wanted to.
Oh, wow. Sorry.
It's okay, guys.
Sorry.
And then another thing that I really liked about this movie is not so much about the humor or plot, but just the fact that the minions, they don't really speak. They talk in this gibberish that's a mix of different languages that no one can understand. And but you can still kind of get what the gist of what they're saying is, because they have very good inflection and body language.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is a phenomenal like feat on the animators and the voice actors' parts.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
You can always know what they're trying to say whenever, like, when they're trying to like pick a TV show to watch or whatever, or when they were in the car and when the mom was trying to talk to them and they were trying to answer the questions, but you could still know what they were trying to say.
Yeah, that was a very good job on the animator and the voice actors' parts.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job there. Okay, so one thing that you mentioned earlier, Alyssa, was that the kids, you thought that they were, they sometimes didn't know when to laugh, they were just laughing, and I've always felt that way about kids' movies. I've always felt like sometimes the kids don't really know what's really funny. They just know because someone else is laughing, they should laugh too. So with that being said, I feel like that was what bothered me about the Minions is that they could have catered more to the adults with the jokes, because the kids are gonna laugh regardless. And I don't know if it's too close. Maybe it's because I just saw Inside Out.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious,
Yeah, right.
and I felt like they did a great job of keeping me as invested as the kids. So I want your opinion on that. Do you think that they gave just what they needed to give for kids, or do you think they could have tried harder for the adults?
I think they definitely could have had more adult type jokes, or jokes that would have catered to adults. Because most of the jokes were just kind of like, oh, they're farting, or oh,
slapstick humor.
Yeah, they're making funny
Right.
jokes, whatever. But they could have had jokes that were of higher level, and then they'd been like, oh, the adults are like, oh, I get that. That's
Right.
funny.
Well-
Like one movie that was like that is like Monsters Inc. They have a lot of jokes in it that are more for adults.
Right.
And like when I watched it when I was a kid, I just laughed because I thought it was funny.
Of course.
But then when I go
Snow
back and watch
cone,
it now, I'm like,
the yellow
oh.
snow cone scene.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they could have had a little higher level of jokes.
All right. Well, I have part 2 to that question. Because the Minions, we don't really understand them. Do you think that was a handicap for them? Was why they didn't try and give us smarter jokes? Because they were the main characters, and since we don't really understand them, there was less opportunity? Or do you think they could have used the other characters around them to give us those type of jokes for adults?
I think they definitely. I mean, Scarlet Overkill, even though like it's about the Minions, she was still a large part of the movie because she was the first supervillain that they focused on finally
True.
in the movie. I think that they could have made jokes around her, or her and her husband could have had jokes. You know, like there could have been
The
like
torture
moments-
room was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I like that one. But yeah, there was definitely moments where they could have had jokes. And like Nate said, how the characters, how like the animation and their like facial expressions, and
body
stuff-
language?
Yeah, the body language. They could have made jokes and still would have been able to understand them if the body language was there.
So you feel like there was a missed opportunity?
Yeah,
there?
I think so.
But you still like the movie though?
Yeah,
no
I
matter
still thought
what?
it was cute,
Okay,
yeah.
you still thought it was cute. Cute is the word that sticks
Cute as
with
a
me.
button.
You know, I definitely feel like the movie is cute. I just wanted it
Every
to be
single.
funnier. But now I'm going to ask you the same 2 questions. First question, Nicole. Do you feel like there was a missed opportunity for them to throw in more jokes for the adults to really get invested? Or do you think it was as good as it was?
I definitely think they could have done a lot better in that department. I thought Despicable Me was a lot funnier to me.
Definitely.
I thought it had a lot more jokes. And I think that the fact that they didn't have like a set main character, maybe in the first half of the movie, to help them make those jokes kind of set them back a little
That's
bit,
true,
because
right.
that's what they usually have. And like
Right.
Despicable Me, they have Gru and they have his kids.
True.
So the fact that they didn't have that, I thought kind of set them back a little bit from making those jokes.
That's true. They spent a large part of the beginning of the movie with just them.
Yeah, just them, and
So-
it's like, what can you do? Talk gibberish to each other and make stupid.
Yeah, I didn't
those
think of that.
jokes.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So, the second half of that question, you kind of just answered it. Yeah, no, but that's great. You actually just answered it because they didn't really have an opportunity because there was only them, so they didn't have any other characters around to give us that. That's a very good point. Awesome. How about you? How about you, Nate? The first part of the question: do you feel it was a missed opportunity?
Yeah, specifically with Villain Con, I think they could have used that to make a lot of more geared towards adults jokes. Like
Yeah.
they could have referenced real life criminals in that, and like not very direct, but like very tiny references, and adults would have got it. It might have
Very true.
been, it might have stepped on some people's toes, but I can guarantee a lot of people would have found it funny. Like maybe like if they referenced like Ted Bundy or like Charles Manson or something.
Yeah, this is based in '68.
Yeah.
68, so they could have
Yeah.
referenced any of the.
Any of them. That was a big time for the
Yeah, that was
people.
a big time. But they could have mentioned and referenced them at the Villain Con.
They could have
That's
just
true.
gone so much more with that, but they showed a few clips of like lizards breathing fire, the science dude, and then boom, the Scarlet Overkill, and then there was that big fight.
Yeah.
in there.
So, I mean, I kind of don't want to ask you the second part of the question, but I feel it's fair to make such a great job answering. But do you think it was because of they didn't have an opportunity because of the way the Minions communicate to amp those jokes up? You think that's why they went that route?
I feel like they strayed away from that to keep the minions, like the minions have an air of innocence to them.
Very true.
And if the minions were to like approach the cartoon Charles Manson talking about wanting to get a tattoo on his forehead, and then they made like an unsettling look at him, then that'd make them a little too like, oh, these minions, they know about like,
Too aware.
they're too aware.
Yeah.
They're bumbling fools who go around causing mayhem to those around them.
Gotcha.
So I feel like if they made them a little bit, if they incorporated them into those jokes as like a punchline, it wouldn't have
It
worked.
wouldn't have worked. Yeah, I feel you on that one. That's actually another good point. Their innocence and their, I don't know what other words you use, but it's
Wistful
definitely
slapstick.
Yeah, it was full slapstick. And for me, I like a little bit more witty humor. Our human calculator, Cody. Shout out to Cody. Cody is not here today, unfortunately.
Rest in peace.
And also, we're missing a couple other panel members. Oh Snap Cupcake couldn't be on with us,
Rest
but Cody really loved the soundtrack, which I thought it was an awesome soundtrack.
Yeah.
But for this movie, I disagree with it. I feel like the average age of a parent is nowadays around my age, and all of that music I know about, but not most people my age do. That was before my time.
Yeah.
And only real music lovers really know all of the songs that they were doing in their Minion way. But it brought, for people who do know the songs that they were singing and the references, like when the Beatles walked over the manhole.
Abbey Road.
Yeah, so
I like that one.
That when people are knowledgeable, that's great. But the kids most likely aren't knowledgeable. I mean, if they have the type of parents that are gonna show them that, they'll get it one day and they'll go back and laugh again.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of them that aren't knowledgeable nowadays. People everybody has their own style, and so I felt like that also was a missed opportunity for. I mean, I get the time period that they were in, but for me, the music wasn't enough to make the movie awesome. And I hope I'm not putting words in Cody's mouth, but I thought that was one of the big parts of why he liked it. And I'd like to get you guys' opinion. How did you feel about? And I'm gonna start with you, Nate. How did you feel about the music?
About the catered soundtrack. I think it was a good choice because of the time period. I think going to another movie, I think one of the biggest mistakes of the newer Great Gatsby films was the fact that they incorporated modern hip hop with it. Mm-hmm. I know some people are going to disagree with me on that.
Yeah,
and they think it was
that one.
I think a lot of people were like, "Oh yes, that's a good modernization and it helps people connect." I thought it just seemed disconnected and like it was an afterthought, and they're like, "Oh, let's do this too."
Right.
So the fact that they incorporated era-appropriate music helped set the theme, or not the theme, make the setting for the 1968, was it?
1968.
The 1968 film about Minions. It helped connect everything.
Okay, I'm gonna jump across the pond to you. How did you?
across the pond.
Yeah. How did you feel about the?
Caught that.
You caught that right? How did you feel about the music and its time period based?
I personally don't know much music from that time period, but I mean, I could catch some of the songs that were in it, and I think that it definitely helped because I can't think of another movie that took place like back in time where they did that, but I definitely thought the music helped with it, just like Nate said.
Yeah.
I think it was a good addition to
I
it.
would have been good with just an original score, a cute score. I just feel like those references weren't. They're going to be missed by a lot of people. I feel like adults and kids.
You think so?
I do. I do. I feel like there's, when you go back that far, there's a certain either love of music or just being passed down. You have to either be attached to somebody that has a love for those, appreciation for those things,
right?
Or
Yeah.
you have to be that yourself. And there are a lot of people that are parents that are my age or younger that didn't have that benefit. Okay, so Nicole, I never did get to ask you, so I'm asking you now.
How you marry me?
On Movie Lingo first. How did you feel about the music itself? Did you feel like it contributed to the movie, or was it a miss? And with the time period, how did you feel about it altogether, everything?
I felt that the music for the time period and where the setting was, I felt it was good. But I do agree with you in the sense that kids aren't really going to get it right now. To them, it's just, wow, that's really good music. Like, oh, that sounds great.
Right.
But they're not going to understand the reference of it. But I did appreciate it.
You appreciate it?
Yeah, but I can understand where you're coming from about it, where they don't understand
An original score for me would have been fine, but I mean, the music was cool. It was cool.
I definitely didn't expect it from the Minion movie.
I didn't expect it
expected the cutesy score. I definitely did.
Right.
So that was one of those moments where I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome. To the point, one of the things that you said though is like, with the Gatsby movie, I feel like it definitely failed on that one. But I with this, I don't know if it's because maybe people may hate me for it. Maybe it's because it's an animated film. I didn't feel like I felt like it was still just, it should be just more about the Minions and not the time. It's not really a period piece, and I felt like they could have had just as much fun or just as much success without any specific genre or era of music at all.
I guess, yeah, they're pandering a little bit in that sense, I suppose.
Yeah, and but I mean, the music is awesome, and those quote Cody. Shout out to him again, so I won't get in trouble. To quote our human calculator, Cody.
God bless his soul.
So Nicole, you had a point about the different characters of the three. You want to get into that?
Yeah, the Minions, they seem like their own group entity. In Despicable Me, they all seem the same, almost to me anyway, in the first two movies.
Right.
But in this movie, I appreciate that they brought three characters outward, Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, and they kind of gave them their own personality traits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Stuart was very much into the music. Kevin was obviously like a leader type because he wanted to do this in the first place, this
Right.
whole
It was his
expedition
idea.
for a new boss. And then Bob was just like the kid with the big dreams, and he wants to do a lot, but no one really believes in him, and he wants to prove himself.
Right.
So I appreciated that a lot about the movie. Like,
Awesome.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. You have Nate, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like their character design reflected that as well. Like if you look at Kevin right here in the center, he's got a longer face, and that's a more like adult trait. As you age, your face
Right.
sunders out. And then Bob, the
Hopefully.
one to the left here, he's got a very squished together face with big eyes for his head, which is very childish. It's like kids are like
Infant
that.
like almost.
Yes. And then Stuart, he's got the one eye and like the crazy hair, and it's very like
Musician-y.
rebellious and musician,
independent type.
Yeah, it's very just it's very not mainstream. He's
Right.
got a very different look than the others.
That's very true.
He's a hipster.
Just like the music at that time.
Just like the music at that time. Also, so what about you? Did you have anything to add about the characters?
Yeah, I like that there was three separate ones because they each had their own sense of humor too.
Mhm.
They each had different like styles of jokes that they liked, and I think Bob's my favorite.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed in the movie, but he had two different color eyes too.
That was so
And
cute.
it was so cute because he just had
So
like some like little
cute
quirky
as the-
things about him.
Cute is the word.
Cute as a button.
Cute is the word
Cute.
that we use the
Cute
most
is the
during
word. That's-
this.
Today's movie lingo is brought to you by Cute.
So cute.
That's awesome. So you just made me forget where I was going next with all that cuteness. So I'm gonna jump to one moment in the movie that was strange to me, and I don't know if it stood out to anybody else, but it's the writer in me, and I know everybody watching now is rolling their eyes, and then you guys are like, oh, here he goes again.
One collective groan.
You know, it's the writer in me, but one part that bothered me was towards the end, because we know that they live to serve the most evil, you know, villain, and when they were being knighted, and then the Queen's crown went missing again, and Scarlet went running, Stuart took on almost like the role of the hero. He was running to go stop her, and I thought.
It would be Kevin, if anything, or Kevin.
Well, I'm sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
Sorry. See, I didn't even know these guys. They're gonna show up in my house.
You
and
thought
let
it
me know.
was uncharacteristic?
I thought it was uncharacteristic, but then again, I have not seen the Despicable Me, so I don't know if they end up having moments of being heroes or just out of stupidity. But I felt like that was a conscious effort to actually save the day instead of appreciating that she just did a villainous type thing, and then as soon as what is his name from Despicable
Kevin?
Me?
Oh, Gru.
As soon as he actually freezes them and steals from her, then they're all like, "Oh my God!
Yeah.
Now I don't want to save you. I don't want
Yeah.
to save the Queen's crown anymore. I'm going to follow this guy." So I thought that was a off moment in the characters. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I feel like it's an off moment, yes, but Scarlet just tried to annihilate his species as well. She was about to shoot giant lava bombs, and if it weren't for
Yeah.
Kevin being 3 stories tall,
Right.
his whole species would have been gone. So I think it's a bit of a bitter, like, you know what? Screw you. You can't have the crown.
That is a very good point. Very good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they were very oriented towards it was like a family kind
Right.
of, and he was like, "You're gonna attack
So
my family. Why would I
You
work
crossed
for you?"
that line now,
Yeah.
so there's no worship for you.
Yeah.
That's just pretty much it.
You won't attack my people.
There's
Get a
no-
crown.
There's
Not
no
today.
worship for you.
Have my Tic Tacs.
You got anything to add on that one?
I think they've said it all.
They did. You guys
It's
summed
not
it up
really
pretty
else.
good. So you jumped the gun on us by saying who your favorite was.
Ooh, sorry.
Yeah, but you said it was Bob.
Yep, he's so cute.
How about you, Nate? Who was your favorite?
I liked Stuart because he had like a personality trait that was more of like he had a hobby, unlike the other minions. All the other minions are just like we work all day, but Stuart had a hobby. He liked to perform. He in the beginning when Kevin's trying to find people to go with him on his mission.
He wasn't even paying attention.
Stuart wasn't even paying attention. He had this little makeshift ukulele that he was fiddling with, and one of the minions next to him raised his arm for him, and he didn't know what was going on. And he went up onto the stage and he started performing. He was so happy, and then I think Bob interrupted him.
Right, to let him know this is the mission.
Yeah.
How about you, Nicole? Who's your favorite?
My favorite main character was Bob. I loved him. He was really cute. But I also really enjoyed the character of the husband. I forget his name. Was it Herb?
Herb?
Herb.
Oh,
I really
Herb
enjoyed
was
his
funny.
character. He was really funny.
He was funny.
I found him very entertaining. He was very different from the other
torture
characters.
scene, he really thought he fooled
It was
them.
great,
That was
yeah.
so funny.
I don't even know anyone named
He's
Blurb.
like,
I love the way he
Herb, I'm
talked.
Blurb.
Yeah.
But then he pulls off the mask. I don't even know anybody named Blurb.
He was a good spoof on like men from the '60s.
He was. That's why I liked him.
Definitely.
That's why I liked him.
There was and did you say why you like Bob? Besides he's super cute.
That's
Yeah,
really
I-
the only reason to like Bob.
Yeah, he was super cute, and he had like his cute moments where he got like pushed into the trunk, and he was like, "No, get me out!"
And then he became the king. That was
Yeah.
King. That was
pulled the
great.
sword from the stone and became the king.
Yeah, right. Like he had no idea what he was doing. He just pulled it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty
I
amazing.
love how for
Yeah.
like an innocent character they gave him like the best, in my opinion, weapon with the big
Yeah.
arms and
Uh-huh.
everything. And he's got such power and he just doesn't know what to do with it. It was
Yeah, I like that
great.
he was so tiny, but then it could make him into this huge thing with the long arms
yeah,
and long legs.
and he's freaking out the entire time.
Yeah.
It's great.
But
It
he's
cute.
pretty effective, even though he's freaking out.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So for me, my favorite,
Gotta think about it.
yeah, I do have to think about it, because
They're all equal in your eyes.
they are all equal in my
Just
eyes.
beautiful little Twinkies.
Beautiful little Twinkies.
Just dancing Twinkies.
Like
a dream
I'm gonna have to go with Stuart. I'm gonna have to go to Stuart because I saw some characteristics of myself in there. He was quick to be like every time like, no, me to do it, and then he would totally do it wrong. And that's me. I always jump the gun like, no, this is how. Okay, you know what? Actually, I don't have it. Nate, could you fix that for me? So that I like the most about him. So I would have to go with that. But I think it's safe to say that it's still a good movie, even though it wasn't what I hoped it would be. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad movie at all,
It was better than I expected, honestly.
right?
Me too.
So with that,
I expected abysmal, like terrible.
oh, did you really?
Yeah, I thought
I
it was
did
gonna be
too.
awful,
Oh.
but it was a lot better than I thought.
I was
kind of
I
expected a
actually
lot.
higher expectations.
Yeah.
It was probably why I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I expected to be crying on the floor laughing, but I was on the floor crying, but it wasn't from laughing. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. That was funny. All right, so let's rate it. Everybody's on the 10 scale.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna start with you, Alyssa. Please tell us even though you rated already on Movie Lingo Minute, please tell us what your rating is and why.
I gave it a 6 out of 10 on the Movie Lingo Minute, and it was mostly for the cute factor. Everything was really cute in the movie. I liked where it took place. I liked the setting. I like England. The plot was good, but everything was just good. Nothing was like over the top funny. Nothing really like caught my attention a lot. So I was kind of let down because I liked the Despicable Me movie so much. So I kind of gave it a 6 out of 10 for those reasons.
6 out of 10 for those reasons?
Yep.
All right, yeah. Because like we said earlier, it's not a bad movie. It just didn't
No.
meet my expectations.
Right.
Nicole, your rating, please, and why?
I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
And I give it that because I went in there expecting it, because when I see a movie like that, when people take a specific tiny character just because it's cute out of a movie and make a whole new movie about it, I usually think it's going to be bad.
Right.
And I went in there like, I'm not going to enjoy this, but I actually really did enjoy it, and it appealed to my sense of humor at least.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the plot, I enjoyed the characters, so I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything amazing, like she said, but it definitely went over the top with my expectations of it.
You can't speak anymore. He took the speaking pillow.
I know, like, it's my child. He's gonna talk like that.
All right, so you should get your phone so we can do the math because our human calculator's not
have
here.
my
You don't have your phone? Somebody should pull out their phone so we can do this math.
We're at 12 right?
I can do it in my
Okay.
head. I'll be the
Yes.
human
We're at
calculator.
13, I'm sorry. We're at 13.
All right, so Nate, your rating and why, please?
I'm gonna give it a 5.5
Ooh.
because I didn't hate it, but it wasn't something that I greatly enjoyed. I had a good time on a few parts of the movie,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. So yeah, it's a 5.5. Under 5 being I just disliked, over 5 being I enjoyed it a little bit. So 5.5.
Okay. All right. I would have to agree that there was some moments that did make me laugh. I thought they were great moments. And honestly, when people watch this video, they're probably going to be like, he must have liked it because we just talked about like 5 or 6 scenes that made me laugh. But there was a lot more opportunity, trust me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a 5.5 as well. So we can just even it up.
Nice.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5 as well. And because we're the only ones on camera, we're gonna leave it at that. I don't know if Cody sent his rating or not
If he did.
from the dead.
If he did.
10 out of 10. That's what he said to
Yeah.
me specifically.
Well, we're not gonna count. We're not gonna count Cody's rating, and we don't have the bear scale. So basically, what number are we at?
24.
24 divided by 4.
Divided by 4 is 6.
Yeah.
Right? We agree that the Minions got movie lingo rating overall is a 6.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Go see it if you haven't already. If you haven't already, I know we spoiled
One thing to
everything for you.
mention, it does retcon a few things from the previous movies. It rewrites how the minions came to be. They were created by Gru in the original movies, and in this one they evolved from little creatures.
That's a
Really?
good point.
Somebody else said that to me at the theater.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, very quickly before we close, do you think they're gonna go for another? Now that we saw the young group at the end, whatever his name is,
We try to make a movie.
you think now they're gonna do another movie with their first adventures together?
They shouldn't.
Yeah, I think they're gonna.
They're gonna, if it makes enough money,
It's making enough money.
then they're
Yeah.
gonna do
I
it.
think
They
it's-
shouldn't, but
I
they
hope
will.
they don't.
They're gonna milk it.
Oh,
They will.
I hate when
That's
they do
Hollywood. They milk it.
That's Hollywood.
I
Yeah.
know.
They're
So unnecessary.
so, but you might like it. We'll do a movie lingo on it, and we'll reference. how
Maybe it'll
you-
be like this one all over again for me.
maybe you might think it was great, you know. And who knows?
We'll see.
The humor may bring in some other
Might
characters.
rub you the right way.
Might tickle me pink.
Yep.
There you go.
Tickle you yellow.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us for another movie lingo discussion. We just talked Minions. I'm Eddie Lingo,
I'm Nate.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Melissa Jansen.
This is Kevin.
and the other Minions, and we'll see you guys on the next discussion.